Doing a retrofit for a VZJ95 Prado. VZJ90 and 95 are both the same, which is the equivalent of a 3rd gen 4Runner in the United States. So this is the headlight. Preparing it for the oven. First thing you want to do, probably take it out of the box, and you want to remove these rubber parts of the headlight. Those will burn in the stove. You don't want that. And so now it's ready for baking. Next thing you gotta do is just take it to the oven. So yeah, this one baking for a while. It's been about 12 minutes now. And you try to open it up. Yeah, so I use those USPS boxes a lot. Actually, I use them here and then I use it to ship, so they're multi-purpose. After this one's done helping with my retrofit, I'm going to use it to ship some items. And I like to line it with foil, just so that the box has no chance of touching the coils on the stove. That causes problems. This on its own, 210 degrees for 12 minutes, won't catch fire. Paper doesn't catch fire at 210 degrees. So I'm gonna bake it a couple more minutes, and I'm gonna pull it out and try to remove the lens. So you want to use gloves with grip on them, because that helps you pry it open. Also, what you also want to need is a screwdriver in case you need to pry some stuff. Now, I kind of know how much force it takes, or how hot it has to be to remove the lens. I've done this a billion times, but rule of thumb is if you can split it with your hand, you should be able to remove this headlight from the housing, or the lens from the housing. So go at it. It's starting to split. I wouldn't be surprised if I had to bake this one more time. Oh, there it is. That's quick. There's a couple tabs. You want to get under those. Just release them. I think 2 more minutes in the oven will help, but it should be ready to let us do the work here. And you want to make sure none of that glue residue ends up on the chrome. It's kind of a pain to take off if it does end up there. Almost done. Got 2 more tabs here on the right, sorry. You're gonna pull it sideways. Make sure you avoid having that glue stick on the chrome parts. And that's how you remove the headlight lens. Came off clean, other than me kind of getting my fingers and gloves on the glue, but you don't worry about that later. And you want to set this on an area like a microfiber rug or some kind of plastic, so you don't scratch the lens. Could have done it cleaner, but oh well. Now we'll go on to headlight 2. We'll do the same. So next step is to remove pretty much this, the locking ring on the headlight. 3 Phillips screws should be able to take it out, and this is where the D2S is going to go in. It does have a ring from what I ordered. We'll see when it arrives, but for now we're going to remove this so that you can remove this. I don't know what it's called. I think this is called the I want to say it's part of the reflector, but I really don't know what it's called. But you got to remove it because the projector is going to sit in this bowl. So very easy. All you got to do is make sure to stay organized. Don't lose your stuff. Also make sure to use the right size screwdriver. That helps. So you don't want to strip a screw, then you're really in some trouble. Ooh, barely. Guess it's a good idea to take that ring out. So we won't be using that locking ring anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So I'll just finish removing this and look for that locking ring later. So now that that's all taken care of, you'll see the this should just kind of wiggle out. Oh, I guess, oh, there it is. I guess you gotta squeeze it in those two spots. See, it's held in here and here, and if you squeeze the prongs, there's a couple of important things that you need when you're doing a retrofit. One, for later during the wiring stage, you're gonna need heat shrink tubing, Sharpie, blue painter's tape, just show, you don't need to show. You need JB Weld to secure the shrouds. It's just an extra level of, you know, being able to stick together for the headlight. Dremel bits in order to do any kind of trimming that you need to the headlights. I bought this one, and for some reason I cannot find the other one. I guess I'll have to find it later. Clear silicone, Loctite for the back. And now we're going to go into unboxing the RetrofitSource Morimoto D2S projectors. You see, well packaged. I got 2 of these today. Unboxing it. All the hardware is put together in the bag. In this bag you get a locking ring, a rubber washer. I don't hardly ever use that. The centering ring, or the alignment ring for the H4 to D2S, and Morimoto's new bulb holder. This is actually better than their old version, which required you to use a clip. Second, gotta unbox it. Projector is well secured in another bag. So we're gonna open this up. And I believe this is version 5. Morimoto has their branding. I remember when I first started retrofitting, they didn't have any branding on any of the stuff. All I said was like top and bottom. 3-inch projector. This is significantly larger than the 2.5-inch H1 that I normally use. I'll do a comparison later. I have another headlight that I worked on. I'll compare it. That one's also H4 OEM housing. I did a mini H1 in that build, so I'll use those as comparison points later. Yeah, good stuff, Morimoto. So next item of business is, show you guys. This headlight will need to be trimmed because the locking ring, and I did this off screen, will not be, you won't be able to tighten it down. I already cheated, did this before the video started, and you can see here I marked it red. That's just the outer limits of the locking ring. Random spots. I'm hoping that if I go ahead and grind that out with the Dremel that I can seat this. The other thing I want to mention is the alignment ring. So Morimoto gives you a very good package in which you can use this alignment ring, and I believe this is the top. So it doesn't fit completely. I'll need to grind it out a little bit, but you can see how this is supposed to go together. You jam this into that alignment notch, and the only one that doesn't seat is the top one. So I'm just going to grind out a little bit of that so that you can see it. And I'll do this off camera. Last time I recorded any Dremel work, it actually made the video look sloppier. You don't need to see me running a Dremel through this red spot. All you know is you should reduce it in all the red spots up to the flat surface, so that you can use tightening ring. And on the mini H1s, I used a plier, well, anything that can grip. So this, and tighten it down. And since it has the alignment ring, you don't really have to hold the front. And we'll get into that later. So you see here, I taped this off. When it heats up, the chrome likes to peel. So whenever I cut any part of the shroud, I usually put blue tape around it so the extra sparks will fly on and, you know, kind of melt the plastic. I don't know if that makes sense, but so I've been doing it. It's been working. Keep doing it that way. made this line here relatively straight. When I cut it, it's going to be straight. This is just kind of a guide. I knew how much to trim off only because I've been retrofitting a long time. So I kind of eyeballed it and knew, but recommendation to someone doing this job for the first time, go slow. You could trim off like 1/8 of an inch at a time. You don't need to go drastic. I'm going to trim off this much just because I measured the headlight housing, the depth, and how much threaded area there is. So the projector's mounted. You can see the blue tape in the reflection, but that's alright. I cut off about, I want to say this is about a 1/2 inch all around the shroud. And I aligned it this way because I actually didn't like the extra, I don't even know what they call these. They stick out, so I'm going to put them towards the inside of the headlight so that the contours of the shroud match the contours of the headlight. It's around here in the corner, around here, up here in this corner, and here, so you can't really see those. And it keeps it kind of, I guess, symmetrical. 4 posts, looks like north, south, east, west. See that? And I might not even run the clear ring. I'm still thinking about it. The only reason why I want to run it is because it would blur out the vision of the inside of the projector, which would help a lot with the cleanliness. But for now, looks like we have the right amount, so we will go ahead and proceed with trimming the back. So you see how much I cut away. This is after the trimming. A little dusty, gotta clean it up. This is before the trimming. Obviously, there's a decent amount you have to cut away. In the mini H1 projector to a H4, hardly any cutting. Actually, I don't even remember doing any cutting. So for the rookies out there doing their first retrofit in an H4, I recommend the mini H1 just because less trimming. But yeah, I'm gonna trim that out to match that side. As you can see here, I had a centering ring here earlier. Now sits into the channel flat, so to help you kind of align everything. So I got both lights washed. Wash them. Dishwashing liquid on a sponge does wonders. Now I'm going to go ahead and reassemble the projectors into the headlight. Should go by pretty quick. I'm only going to show one on the screen here. No reason to show two. They're exactly the same. So first, you want to take your projector, place the rubber washer that TRS gives. This helps against vibration. So then you just make sure everything's clean. Place that there. You take now the centering ring, or the alignment ring, and you align it like so. Kind of got to mash this down a little bit. There we go. It seats, and you'll know it's straight because Depo headlights, they typically have a top mark. So when you're done tightening this top alignment mark has to line up with this alignment mark. And you take the locking ring, you hand tighten it as far as you can. So I did make a mistake. I did not buy the tool. They have a locking ring tool, which I should have bought. I thought that it was going to be similar to the mini H1 install, and I was completely wrong. It's not even close to being the same. So you actually do need that the tightening tool for this install. So for you guys doing this at home, make sure to buy that tool. So I think it's like $12 from TheRetrofitSource, and that'll save you a lot of heartache. Here I'm gonna have to create a tool tomorrow to lock this thing down, or you can slowly kind of guide it with a screwdriver. But you're not getting much handle on it, so I'll have to figure this out tomorrow somehow. Maybe a larger screwdriver, who knows, but we'll make it work. Getting close. So now it's tightened down, and see how it's lined up with the top. And now the next step is you're gonna have to place some JB Weld on the inside of this shroud. I like to put it here on the outer portion of the projector, because if you put it on the shroud, when you guide it on, there's a chance that you smear it onto the projector. You don't want that. That's a tough cleanup job. So it's better if you put the JB Weld on the ring here, and then you place the projector on in the alignment that you have. I have mine marked so that this alignment mark, the top, I don't even know what to call this, but the DRL spot is lined up with the top of the headlight, which has an alignment mark here at the top. So yeah, lots of aligning, but easy. So I'm gonna go over the alignment here. See the notch there, and the notch on the headlight should match the alignment notch that's on the actual headlight. So this is on the reflector, alignment notch on the projector, and this circle here, which you can't really see. So you see this is the clearance housing, or reflector housing. Like I said earlier, it is easier to run the mini H1, but I was curious to see how good a 3-inch projector could do. This is my first time doing an H4. So I'm going to put Loctite, and you don't need to spam the Loctite, just in a couple spots. You don't want to do this while the headlight's facing down either, because you do while the headlight's facing down, there is a chance that it would bleed onto that projector lens on the other side. So what I recommend is do this at an angle, get all the way around, and then have it sit straight up. Remember, Loctite, you don't need to coat this whole thing. So I'm going to go and put this Loctite on and then let it dry overnight. And what I'm also going to do is silicone some of the area around just to keep it from moving. I think it would really help, just because silicone is, you can remove it if you need to take out this housing, take it apart. It's strong enough to keep it in place, but also you can also, if you felt the need to redo this retrofit, you could peel the silicone back, pick at it, and then undo this bolt. Oh yeah, one more thing. If you do not buy the locking tool to do this headlight retrofit, you are gonna have to use a screwdriver and a hammer and rotate this bolt and rotate this locking ring all the way around until you feel like it's tight enough. It is a pain to do. I recommend you just buy the tool from the RetrofitSource for, I think it was like $11. I didn't think I would need it, but now hindsight, if I do this again, I will go ahead and buy that tool. And you can see here, that notch I was talking about, that's where you put the screwdriver and hit the mallet against it so you can work that locking ring all the way around. So it's good to have the headlights side by side, so that you know exactly when to align the shroud. Earlier I wanted to have this pointed up. I decided that this orientation is actually better. So I'm going to show you how to JB Weld this thing. So with the shroud already kind of settled in, pull this off. And you want to put the JB Weld this has a couple hours set time, so don't worry if you're feel like you're going slow. Be very careful not to drip it onto the lens. That would be nearly impossible to take off. Step is a lot of patience. Remember, it's not a race. Just want to get everything settled in. Okay, so I got most of it. So now I'm gonna take this shroud and I put it I had my alignment marks set earlier, so this makes it a lot easier. That was completely vertical. Hopefully that cures nicely, and we'll test it out. I believe this is a 24-hour cure. But pretty much if you can get the lens to be even all the way around, you'll be able to tell that it's in a good spot. Make sure there's no contact. Yep, not making contact back there or at the top. So this one is deemed good. And now we do the same thing with the next. So it's been about 8 hours now. Cure time for JB Weld is 4 to 6 hours. So I just need to check if it dried out and it's good to go as far as installing, as far as keeping the shroud in place. So what I do is just kind of check. You don't need to put a lot of pressure, but just shake the whole headlight using the shroud. It should be okay. That one's good. It's not going anywhere. You don't need a lot of pressure. So now we're going to move on to the next step, which is the rear. The rear seal. Next order of business is I'm going to add silicone to the gaps here. I know that I have this headlight set where I want it to be, with the alignment all kind of lined up with everything that needs to be aligned to, with the alignment all set vertically. So I'm going to fill in some of the gaps. You don't have to take the whole thing, but obviously the more you can seal up, the better. Silicone's nice because you can always peel it back. So I think I'm going to go here in this corner and then the lower corner. And do the same on this side. Upper corner, lower corner. You want to do it at the angle so that the silicone doesn't leak into the headlight. Go on the bottom here. Capture a couple spots. Should be set. Then you can place the headlight vertically so it's standing so that the silicone doesn't drip down. So the silicone is dried up. It doesn't look good, but you know, the purpose of this is just to be able to keep it in place. It's another thing that keeps the ring from moving around in addition to the Loctite. It just fills the gaps, minimizes the vibration. So now you got to reassemble in reverse order. So we're going to put this headlight in the oven, same way we did when we baked it open. 180 for 12 minutes or so. Place the lens, keep the lens on there for another like 5-6 minutes, and then take it out. We're going to be using some clips, and I'll show those in the next video, or in the next part of this video. Headlights are all sealed up now. I ran a thin bead of silicone. I'm going to be going after that with a blade so that it's smooth. The top, you know, is showing generally in like show cars and stuff. So what I do is I expand the silicone and I take a blade and cut off the excess that you don't really need so it looks OEM. For the bottom, I usually just I leave it on. But you know, I cut that away with the blade too. Silicone just helps make sure you have a nice seal on the headlight. No condensation gets in. Now the last thing you want is condensation on the plastic headlight. So after I'm done here, and I don't have the blade on me, but I'm gonna essentially scrape off the top layer until it's flat and you can't even tell the silicone's there. I do that off camera, it's pretty boring, but usually you just scrape off the top straight across. So you take the blade and rest it against the lens and cut straight across. And yeah, that pretty much takes care of this headlight. This set is ready to install. So last step, install the bulbs. So I'm going to walk you through. So it only goes in one way. That's an alignment tab. I keep usually the rubber grommet from the HID kit in case I need to use it, because there is a seal where the old wires come out of, and that needs to be sealed up so that it's weatherproof essentially. So I'll show you how I put these together. Put the bulb in, then you got the Morimoto bulb holder. Sorry, my hands are dry. Wash it over spilled some diesel on them the other day, so excuse the dry hands. Put this down. Make sure your bulb is aligned into the tab. And hold it in place while you thread down the bulb holder. And these are very nice because they are essentially a pretty easy install. Makes it very plug and play, so to speak. Almost done there. It's hard to get a grip in the amount of space that you have to tighten this bolt, but okay, so now it's set. And like I mentioned earlier, weather seal. So you had this weather seal here. Well, actually it was the bulb holder, so from when it was shipped. So what you do is push it down all the way. Make sure you don't damage the wires. Get it as close as you can. Like that. And then you take your original cover from the headlight down. So this one looks like we're gonna have to cut a little bit, but I think it's better if we do it backwards. So actually the better approach would be to do this. Sneak it out of the seal. Should work. Done it before. Then you seat this holder like so, and then you'll have a seal that looks kind of like seal that looks like that. Then you're going to push this against the so now it's seated. Good idea would be to run some silicone on the outside of this, just so that it's perfectly sealed. I mean, it should be sealed. The headlights have breathers, so little holes here and there won't matter. But for me, I'm going to put silicone here so that it is a weather-tight seal. And I think that should do it. Okay. So drove it about 30 minutes. Still no leaks in the headlights. Pretty much say that these are sealed and no more issues, hopefully. I am having a problem adjusting the driver's side, so I'm gonna have to open that up and just manually adjust it without the adjuster bolt.